Cover me, I'm going in.
Wait. I think we got some questions sent up.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay, we got time.
This is part 2. Today we are answering some YouTube questions and we'll see where it takes us. Who are you?
Hi, how are you? We're a night vision company in Europe and we do this kind of shit. How bad does night vision limit your field of view and how quickly do you get used to it?
It limits your field of view a lot. So the easiest way, if you want to get an understanding how different types of night vision limit your field of view, then do this one simple trick. Take your hand, put it into a circle. Now look through it. This is exactly the vibe you get while using a night vision monocular. And well, obviously close your other eye. Now if you want to get the feel for how binos feel, then make 2 like O's with your hands and look through them. And this is how binos feel. And if you want to know what your field of view with like quads are and how much it affects you, like take 2 U's with your hands like this and then place them in front. It's really the most accurate representation that one can do.
So basically with monocular it's 40 degrees. With binos you have 40 degrees in front of both eyes. That doesn't double your field of view, it just gives you depth perception and increases it slightly, your field of view. Panos are around 97 degrees and that's pretty much as close you can get to your normal field of view with good night vision device.
And like the normal field of view is around 130 degrees, just bare eye or something like that.
Prices of retail helmet mounts, bridges, flip to sides are ridiculously expensive.
About the adapters and stuff like that, yeah. It depends on how you look at it, but the long story short is that if your product is made in the West, not with using like normal labor, not slaves, then it's will end up pretty expensive. And CNC and like machining parts is a lot more expensive than people think. And just like the prototyping and manufacturing those things, not at scale, will drive up the price quite a bit. So if I would manufacture 10,000 of something, then it will be definitely cheaper. But the amounts that those manufacturers can make for the size of this market is relatively small, so it drives the price up.
And we know it firsthand because we're doing something similar. So we know what goes behind research and development and finding the right parts and materials and putting it all together. So basically, if you can't make it cheap and good. You have to pick something. If you want it cheap, it can't be good. If you want it good, it can't be cheap.
Yeah, and we have a huge team working on the products at the machine shop, at the anodizing. There's so many like parts in the supply chain that need to be fed, and whole process of manufacturing, looking in from the outside, looks like it's just like a easy piece to manufacture, but it's not as easy as that. Like you can't even imagine how hard like even simple things as like anodizing can be. If you're on an extremely tight budget, then could a high-end digital night vision work in a combat scenario? And do we know any cheap working thermals?
No and no. Digital night vision technology is not there yet as we know it. There are some good ones out there, but not for, I wouldn't say they're good for combat use. And they're digital, so they eat batteries and they have some limitations. And for thermals, I would recommend to get this still around 4,000.
Yeah, the thing is with cheaper thermal, you might get some performance out of it, but they're not as reliable as the middle-end or high-end options. Basically, we have tried selling some cheaper thermals just for the raw performance, but they haven't been really reliable. So I can't really recommend anything good.
Hold on. How do you preserve battery life when it's really cold outside?
It's simple. You have to keep the batteries warm. You have to keep them in your pockets of your pants, close to your body, and you just have to account for it that cold eats into your batteries, so you just have to take more with you and try to keep them heated. Like there's some of those chemical heating pads, I would maybe open those, put them with my batteries if it's like really, really cold. And I have also seen some manufacturers create like heating batteries, but I haven't really used those, so I can't recommend them.
Or just move to a warmer place.
Yeah, that's also good. You can always buy a plane ticket and fly to a warmer place. Is any maintenance needed for night vision and thermal? And how is digital night vision currently doing?
Maintenance, like with any electronics or optics, you want to keep the lenses clean, don't use any abrasives, so like a brush and a special cloth for cleaning lenses. The other important part is always store it without batteries, so if you're not using it for, let's say, for the next 24 hours, definitely take out the batteries because they might start leaking.
That's about it. Like night vision, you can purge it, so there's gases inside, nitrogen and some other mix to keep your lenses clean and will stop them from fogging from the inside and other like minor details. That will last for about 1 to 2 years, depends on who you're asking. It's good to do it, but it's not really like needed. You can still keep using your night vision, and you need to be like in really humid conditions for your night vision to internally fog. Otherwise you won't even notice that your device has lost the purge. That's about it for night vision.
And for digital, we answered it before. It's progressing, it's getting better, but currently go with analog.
Yeah, just the thing is that like the best digital night vision at the moment costs the same as around 16 to 1800 from white phosphor analog night vision, so it's not worth it. The downsides are really way smaller field of view. Also, it eats batteries. Like the battery goes dead way faster, and there's also image processing delay. Are there any difference between the countries and which one is the best?
Yeah, I wouldn't say countries, it's more like manufacturers. So yeah, of course there are differences.
US manufactures the best night vision with L3 and Elbit leading the front, and then you have a couple of manufacturers in Europe. Photonis is the main one. Then you have some manufacturers in Russia, in China, in Japan. They are relatively similar. If you give it to somebody who is not like in the night vision scene and have him or her like grade the night vision, then there's a fairly good chance that he or she will say that the performance is the same. But if you do a deep dive into it, then the answer is that the US made night vision is the best, around 10% better than European made ones. In Europe, Photonis 4G is the best. In US, L3 Filmless is the best. And in Russia and China, I can't really say. But China also is catching up pretty fast, so keep an eye on them. What would it be like to use one night vision monocular and one thermal monocular at the same time? Does your brain adjust to the images?
What you basically get is kind of best of both worlds. You get the dedicated night vision and the dedicated thermal. The thermal gives you great capability. Oh, nice.
Yeah, continue.
Using them together, it will be difficult at the start because your brain will not fuse them together into one image because they have different brightness, different color palettes. It's not going to be like using a fusion device. You just have to switch the focus in your brain from one image to the other depending on where you need it. If you're walking around, you focus on the night vision device, and if you're scanning for threats, you look at the thermal pretty much.
It's a chore to do it. If you're like first time in your life using it, usually the reaction is like kind of mixed, but as soon as you encounter some enemies and detect them from far away, then you will not go back.
In a CQB scenario like it would be in this building, I wouldn't use a thermal, I would use the clip-on that you see us through right now. Anything outside the building where there's some distance and some nature, I would go with thermal any day.
Do thermal optics degrade over time like night vision does?
Not really, no. They're digital, they don't degrade over time like that. All you have to do is keep up with the updates. Of course, with the thermal, don't look at really hot sources, like don't stare at the sun or a fire for too long. That can actually damage it.
Yeah, you can mess up the sensor, just like you can mess up night vision. Don't do that, then it won't degrade. And about the updates, they are optional, you don't have to do it. It won't break your device if you don't do an update. Simple answer, short answer is no, it doesn't degrade. Like same thermal that is currently filming, we have been using it for around 5 years, and the image quality is still the same.
And for those who didn't know, probably the person who asked this question knows very well that night vision devices do degrade over time. The magic that goes on inside them, that's not infinite. It's depending on the tube manufacturer, there's different life cycles.
Yeah, one night vision device can be used for around 10,000 hours, and then the picture starts getting dimmer and dimmer.
If you already have a PVS-14, should I get another night vision and bridge it, or get the thermal like the RH25 and get the capability?
It's simple to get the capability.
Yeah, agree totally.
The capability is way more worth it. Like the field of view is cool, like you get more depth perception, but the capability is even cooler. Like I was just patrolling with monocular plus thermal combination, and I went out of it, and like the first 5 minutes I also like got this feeling like I wish that I just took my binos. But as soon as I spotted some opposing force people, then I was so happy that I had the thermal. The use of the thermal is kind of like a chore. It isn't as like fluid using it as binos, but extra capability it gives you is just insane.
If you already have a monocular, should you buy another monocular and bridge them, or buy a binos?
So the emphasis on this question is that the guy wants binos. So you can look at this from two ways. If you buy another monocular, then you will have the added bonus of you can share the capability with a friend. It can be a loved one, whoever. You can just split it into two monoculars, go hiking, go airsofting, or even in a like defense scenario, you have that sort of flexibility, which is actually really useful. The downside is it weighs a bit more. So I think the weight difference can be like up to 200 grams, I guess. And if you buy binoculars, then you will get like a more fluid user experience, and I don't know, it just feels better. But you can't share it. You can't share the capability. So it really comes down to your own. Are you selfish, or do you want to share?
And if you have monoculars, you can eventually, if you want to, add a thermal as well.
Yeah, which is actually the best option. And also, are you more urban focused, or are you more like forest mountains focused? If you're more like an urban type of direct action dude, I guess get binoculars. If you're more like operating in a remote area, then I would probably take the MLB and the two monoculars. So that's the question basically. Why is the thermal in front, not at the end?
Quick answer, thermal can't see through glass, so you can't magnify it that way.
Really simple as that. If the thermal is the first thing and then you have stuff in front of the thermal, then the thermal does not work because it cannot see through glass or any solid objects for that matter.
And the reason you have the 3x or the LPVO behind the thermal is because of eye relief.
If you put the thermal too far away from you, then you can only see a small part of the image. You want it as close as possible, or you need something that's magnifying so you will see the whole picture. It works best with the LPVOs. Wanna go in now?
Nah, let's go home.
Okay, go then. This has been the second episode of the Falconclaw After Dark, and thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.